Okay, so we're here playing some Niv Mizzet All Creature deck with Umri as our companion, and this is going to be the prime example game of why we saw it recently in the Wizards quarter one earnings call. The CEO deciding that Arena needed a redesign and stated the popularity of multiplayer. This game is going to be the prime example of why that is a terrible idea to reconstruction around it, because I've said it before. Online Commander sucks. Or should I say Commander sucks online? That would be a better title grabby deck thing here. Now, here we see I mulled down to 4, nothing going on, terrible start. So let's say that I'm playing like and not recording, messing around. You know what? I would even just go, nah, I don't feel like playing this game. I mulled really badly. I'm going to leave and just go into the next game that's available. I don't do that because I try to give everyone a game, but that's ultimately what happens a lot of the time. I mean, you've seen on Arena with 1v1 Brawl where people will literally just concede if they miss a land drop. There's also the issue you'll see here of disparities. So this was viewed as a casual game. So we have Elrin of the Wild, which is like a Bogles deck. We have Reaper King, which is 5-color Toma Goldfish copy deck that everyone plays. It's nothing original. And then we have Sliver Grave Moment. Now, if you actually check this, he's using the pre-con Commander Masters deck. So he did make that clear in the chat. He's like, this isn't powered up. This is literally the deck that the pre-con. I just wanted to play it. So we gave him that. Shouldn't have, if I'm completely honest. But you'll see what will happen here as it goes on. So, first thing you'll notice, the immediate Scarecrow deck starts tutoring. And this is also going to be a sub-rant on why Commander players suck at threat assessment. So we have here the Bogles player goes straight after the player, who then drops a Mox Diamond in the casual game, you know, with 0 mana rocks. Drops a Risen Reef. My point is, there are several signs that this guy is playing a deck with power higher than what's expected. I literally, spoiler alert for the rest of the game, he drops Darkside, Ristic, Mana Drains. He throws down all these cards showing that he is of a higher level. And nobody goes for him, because Mr. Sliver guy wants to attack Bogles, and I'm out of the game at this point. Now, I have recognized that this guy in the middle, he is the threat. I know what Scarecrow King can get down, particularly in a changing deck. It basically turns every creature he controls into a Vindicate. And yes, so here's where the first thing's going to happen is our opponent now has some pumped power, and as you can see here, does go after the Scarecrow player. And this is where things go a bit crazy. See, our Sliver player drops the Harmonic Sliver. Now, for those who don't know, this Harmonics let you blow up an artifact or enchantment. He blows up the monster roll, which will be recreated when that creature attacks, instead of hitting a Mox Diamond. And I know everyone's going to be like, no, you can't mana deny. Guys, when your opponent is clearly playing on a level higher than you, take the advantage. This isn't land destruction. There are a million things like Vandal Blasts that blow up artifacts. Do not be afraid to target a mana rock and put, particularly if your opponent is flexing with like a goddamn Mox. Yes, but you'll see what this triggers now is the inevitable back and forth that we always see in Commander, particularly online, where, oh, you hit one of my permanents, I'm going to divert all resources into attacking this. And this is literally the Kingmaker point here. And you might think that's an exaggeration, but everything that happens from this point on just gives the game to a Manium here. And I'm going to let the game fully run as we talk it through, but keep that in mind. This is now the point where our opponent, who has now done a double tutor into double protection for his board, now also has the harmonic sliver triggers, because these are old school slivers. Drops a dark side extortionist, only for 2 though, because he did it backwards. Then starts continuing to ramp. So here's the issue: the slivers player and the changeling player are basically vibing off each other now. So now sliver player gets death touch and blows up the protection artifact. You know what? That thing, and then swings in and attacks the player, trading for a mana dork. Your other opponent has a board full of viable creatures and chump blocks with Darkside and other stuff. Why are you putting that much investment, literally your haste enabler, in taking down this one opponent? My bad luck is compounded here because I cast a Mizzet and I have one of the worst ones I've had in a while. I only get 2 cards. I do get the Ruthless Lawmaker here though, which is basically a Vindicate on a stick. It's a new card from Thunder Junction, and I want to play that. So here's the deal now. Jace 13 and Everlasted are now just locked in a war to kill each other. And do you think there's going to be a point where one of them triggers out of it and goes, ooh, maybe we should stop this? For example, your opponent here swings in. Now this is a 6/6. It swings into Death Touch, vying to trade for Death Touch creatures, when there's an open board where you would trade 3 or 4 for 1 if your opponent wanted to kill it, which most likely they won't. Literally, and it had trample as well, so they can't even chump it. Now our opponent drops a Mass Wound Nexus. This is a huge red flag. So now every creature that gets dropped is going to be a changeling, have all the Sliver's abilities. Now, with that on the field, you'd think, okay, Sliver player, oh my god, we've got to make sure this doesn't go off. No, they take the turn to drop a massive Sliver, which will then hit one of the enchantments. That's fair because there's the Unsettled Mariner, which gives all this stuff Shroud 1. I get that, but you, yeah, there's a Mass Wound Nexus which potentially could go off and do some crazy stuff here. But for the sake of this here, I'm going to be the responsible player at the table, which is one of the things I hate, because I hate when I play decks like this. I don't want to be the police state. So I take out Masswood here to lay the burden off our friend here. They respond by making a 4/4 because there's a pump from the Sliver player. Now you think the Sliver player would look at this and go, wow, he's getting all my advantages. I won't be able to leverage the situation unless I deal with him. But alas, this is what happens. So, going on to my turn, I cast Honest Ruskin, return the Baleful Strix here. Now, this is the one that really infuriated me. I swing into the Adamant, the gentleman who's going off with Masswood, do 6 damage there. Now, keep in mind that this guy that I'm swinging at, the Changeling player, has also blown up all the enchantments that Everlasted has had. So what do you think the Everlasted is going to do when they get a massive creature with trample here, like an 11/11, that could do a lot of damage, swing through, trade for some creatures? Oh no, they're going to come straight at me. I have literally been using my turns to protect them, and they decide to swing into me. Which is super frustrating, because I'm dealing with another player here, and you still think that this is the viable course of action. Now I challenged the guy in chat about this, and his response is, well, I want to hit everyone because that's how you play Commander. That's how you play Commander with your friends. Online Commander is a different beast. Online Commander sucks when you bring the tabletop mentality in. Because look, our opponent here uses a Crux of Fate to wipe everyone else's board. Luckily, Niv's the dragon, so I get to keep it, which puts more pressure on our opponent here, because I'm just going to keep hitting them. But thinking about it now, you're looking at it and going, okay, board's been reset, this guy's got the board presence, he's got the best situation, we'll all come together and fight him. No, Jace decides to concede because he's been board wiped once and he wants to just play a game where he can build a board of slivers. His message leaving was, screw this, I want to play my actual slivers, which is fair, but you did play slivers, and this might happen. We're not just going to let you get a huge board. And people wonder why I'd say that Online Commander is such a sucky and hard to deal with thing. But ultimately, this is how the rest of the game goes. Our Everlasted does nothing now because they get... Oh yeah, right, I forgot about this. So keep in mind now, Everlasted has made no other attempts to deal with the gentleman that's gone off here. And he's feeling pretty good. He plays Umbra Mystic, which will give all his auras total armor, which is great. Because he's thinking to himself, this is going to be good, I can throw this down, I've got protection. I'm going to enchant. Oh wait, no, my opponent's running Mana Drain. So the triple tutor Darkside Naxwood, what else did they play? Mana Drain deck has now got that. Now our opponent reanimates, down to 16, grabbing their Risen Reef back. They're running through the steps again. They can play another Valiant Charger for cheap. And they ramp. And they drop her a stick. Now after all this, I'm thinking to myself, finally, now that he's countered the spell, Everlasted will look at this and go, right, this guy is the problem. We have to deal with him. So I shock a card in here and I start to do some... I go for combat. He has an Assassin's Trophy. Lag gets the better of me here and I click the wrong land, which sucks. Also, I want to point out that this is sped up, but the Scarecrow player was playing so slow, it was insanely frustrating. We just recast a Mizzet here, get the board going. Basically what I'm trying to build to is that I can cast another creature, use Samwise to get back Rustkin, cast Rustkin to get back the Ruthless Lawbreaker, and then Vindicate, the big scary thing that our opponent's going to do. But I'm looking here and my opponent starts casting some auras and I'm like, okay, they got totem armor, they're building forward. We'll work together here and deal with this situation. You would think, but of course this is online, so I'll tell you exactly what happens. Our opponent, mid-turn, just decides he's done. And his response in thing was, I can't come back from that board wipe. So yeah. And now we're basically going to get Reaper King, flicker his board, and we lose. So yeah, the entire king-making situation of this game came down to the fact that our Sliver player decided not to blow up a high-powered Mox card because they didn't want to do mana denial. And then our casual person who hosted the game, saying it was casual, went off and won with all of their insanity. Now, this still felt like a casual deck, to be honest. Changelings isn't CDH or anything crazy, but this is a prime example of why online multiplayer would be terrible to bring to Arena, because Commander is a paper format. It is a shitty online format. It absolutely sucks. Because literally, if you any Commander game that you know hinges 100% on the Rule 0 interaction. And without Rule 0, you get games here. And you've got to remember, you think about how often you play in paper and have a great time. That's fine. Try it online and you will see why it is terrible. This is the case. We had opponents with way better hands than us just quit because they were done. literally in the chat, one guy was like, "Dude, I'm surprised you stay. I normally leave the game if I only have 4." So yeah, this is my case. Wizards, do not do online multiplayer. It sucks.